In an escalating calamity reverberating through the international entertainment world's interlocking circles of power and influence, a devastated Meghan Markle has found herself professionally radioactive and shunned from virtually all future business prospects across Hollywood and adjacent culture spheres. The stunning downturn in fortunes arrives as major studios, prominent guilds, and marketing titans alike reacted with disgust and uniform revulsion to the Paradise Files. An investigative exposé providing overwhelming forensic documentation alleging the Duchess of Sussex orchestrated rampant atrocities throughout Nigeria in service of cynically manufacturing humanitarian photo opportunities benefiting her branding multimedia empire. According to the trove of searing eyewitness testimonies, surveillance materials, and independent NGO audits compiled by the anonymous consortium of Nigerian transparency activists and international human rights entities, Meghan stands personally culpable for a litany of war crimes across the troubled West African nation during what was ostensibly marketed as the Royals' Sunshine Tour, alleviating poverty and uplifting disenfranchised communities. From displacing entire indigenous villages through violent depopulation to conducting Kafkaesque depredations resulting in numerous civilian casualties, all under the pretense of simulated aid distributions and infrastructure groundbreakings. The evidence indicates the Duchess essentially presided over campaigns of ethnic cleansing in the pursuit of televisual spectacle, profiteering from human misery at its most unconscionable depths. The picture being painted by the Paradise Files proves even more harrowing than our worst initial suspicions last spring when the first whiffs of atrocities crept out from beneath the Sussex's superficial Nigerian optics, lamented Amnesty International's Regional Bureau Chief Ganiyu Adesina in assessing the growing revelations now potentially approaching International War Crimes Tribunal culpability. We're now tracking numerous documented instances where Meghan quite literally ordered local paramilitary contractors under her royal security apparatus's directives to basically raise villages of innocent subsistence farmers off their ancestral lands just to fabricate grander humanitarian relief photo shoot backdrops for Netflix. The escalating legitimacy crisis surrounding Meghan's ignominious Nigerian tour has already prompted swift and irreversible repercussions across the global creative community, with major studios immediately shelving any active and future projects attached to the now disgraced Duchess. Within a 12-hour span last Thursday evening, industry behemoths including Paramount, Amazon Studios, Amblin Entertainment, and even Harry's formerly sympathetic benefactors at Netflix confirmed indefinite postponements or outright cancellations for every single Sussex-affiliated venture in development amid a blanket blacklisting now ricocheting across multiple showbiz sectors and mediums. Given the incontrovertible atrocities visually documented throughout the Paradise Files culminating in what international courts are already legally categorizing as violence against humanity, it would be both morally and legally indefensible at this juncture to proceed with any additional business dealings involving the Duchess's direct involvement from this point moving forward, shared one Netflix spokesperson originally attached to Archie's still unreleased Heart of Invictus docuseries, which now appears permanently shelved alongside Meghan's abandoned children's book imprint. The commercial quarantining and professional pariahdom encircling the Duchess only escalated upon Hollywood's elite organizations and advocacy groups swiftly condemned her apparent culpability. Within hours, the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences, Producers Guild of America, and the influential GLAAD watchdog coalitions all released statements sanctioning any official affiliation with Meghan going forward, essentially blacklisting her from most future mainstream prestige projects or awards show circuit accreditation over potential security concerns. Given the grave nature of these credible reports alleging unspeakable atrocities implicating the Duchess's personal oversight if not outright orchestration, GLAAD must categorically repudiate any formal association with Meghan Markle or related entertainment properties until sufficiently addressing these human rights abuses at the highest possible legal venues, wrote the prominent LGBTQ advocacy group in their statement suspending all collaborative initiatives brokered through the Sussexes, Archie and Pearl production banners. Even prior corporate partners and ideological stakeholders considered prominently aligned with Meghan's public philanthropic stances have rapidly retreated from any affiliation amidst the furor. Just 48 hours after the Paradise Files' initial document deluge, outraged protesters had already amassed in demonstrations across New York and Los Angeles demanding cosmetics giant Procter & Gamble immediately sever all sponsorship arrangements with the former royal influencer under threat of nationwide boycotts. The international corporation swiftly complied by allowing the Duchess's recently renewed pact endorsing their Olay Regenerist retinol skincare lines to elapse by severing contractual ties within hours of the protests escalating. Considering our brand's infinite marketing platform promised sharing, the gift of infinite self-renewal and spiritual uplifting for diverse communities. The incendiary photographic revelations depicting the Duchess's sanctioned massacres against Nigerian villages represented an irreconcilable polarity between Olay's corporate values and her purported humanitarian image that could no longer remain tenable for both parties moving forward, an internal PNG memo confirmed upon cancelling Meghan's multi-million-dollar endorsement deal. But the most visceral spectacle surrounding Hollywood's reflexive backlash emerged when Meghan's longtime legal fixer and crisis management consigliere Rick Brilliant was indefinitely suspended from Stratton and Metallurgical, the multinational consultancy where he served as managing partner overseeing the firm's elite celebrity clientele practice. Following an emergency review initiated upon the Nigerian revelations surfacing, Stratton executive leadership voted unanimously to immediately and permanently sever all professional ties with the prominent celebrity wizard, widely credited with meticulously rehabilitating Meghan's benevolent humanitarian image over the past 2 years since the Sussexit debacle. According to leaked internal audio transcripts and email archives widely circulated online, Brilliant could be directly overheard counseling the Duchess in explicit detail, advising her to essentially liquidate villages and conscript local civilian inhabitants as crisis actors to fabricate the disturbing charity scenes disseminated on behalf of their corporate partners and content distribution channels. Revelations surrounding his culpability quickly metastasized into calls for Brilliant's law license to face permanent disbarment following explosive courtroom outbursts where the mastermind fixer lambasted Judge Carol Beckloff as Queen Raggedy Ann for daring to question his ethics during a defamation civil suit against Meghan's opposition bloggers. This whole fiasco illuminates how such lavishly compensated puppet masters like Brilliant manipulated Meghan's entire public narrative from the shadows while fattening already bloated coffers, enabling her darkest delusions, Judge Beckloff declared during a sidebar rant. Her disgust evident upon learning Brilliant had initially billed the Duchess $25 million to orchestrate her rehabilitation tour across the Nigerian charnel houses. Rick Brilliant earned that moniker the way Captain Ahab wailed, through an insatiable compulsive obsession to harness nature's most fearsome untamed elementals at any moral cost until it finally devours your entire being. In Meghan's case, her unchecked hubris and ambition metamorphosed into spiritual possession by this gorgon she created. Across social media and in celebrity circles, the accelerating global blowback against both the former Duchess and those entangled within her promotional apparatus has evolved into a panicked tsunami decimating once formidable reputations and careers still struggling to regain equilibrium. While Meghan has remained cloistered alongside her husband and children behind the high walls of their Montecito compound, now perpetually surrounded by frenzied media encampments and protesters, one video clip shows her briefly emerging in visible distraught before bursting into guttural sobs while clutching her inconsolable infant daughter. Just based on the snippets we've all witnessed in those few brief unguarded moments Meghan has surfaced from seclusion, she already seems an abandoned, broken figure irrevocably banished to haunting the mausoleum of her own vanities, concluded the venerated celebrity chronicler Liz Smith, offering one of the few remaining sympathetic assessments. The tragedy currently devouring that poor woman's last remnants of humanity no longer appears rooted in a mere public reckoning over her latest petty frauds or aborted diva hubris. Whatever sins transpired across Nigeria were so unspeakably abhorrent as to violate the very sanctity of her own maternal soul.